So this is a video of me doing some Sprint 8 exercises, or Peak 8 exercises on the beach in Miami, and I decided to do sprints just because I don't have access to a recumbent bike or any kind of equipment here, and it's fairly easy and fun to just sprint on the beach. It was about 6 p.m. when I did this. It cooled down enough, but it didn't cool down quite enough because my phone actually shut down. It told me it was overheating. My iPhone stopped recording on the very last sprint, or just before the very last sprint. So this is actually peak 7. So there goes my first sprint. And the post that I'm running past right now, and you'll be able to see it in the annotation, is about where I ran to. It looks like I ran further, but I'm just parallel to the posts there along the grass, along the dunes. And so that was my first sprint, and I was a little worried about my phone. I just had my iPhone sitting on my sandals, and I was worried about it falling over or somebody swiping it or something, but luckily none of that happened. And as I'm doing these, I am breathing I'm trying to breathe really in a really relaxed way, really rhythmically. I'm not holding my breath on the sprints. I've made that mistake before and I just get winded super quickly. I'm just sort of breathing in rhythm with just taking a breath, letting it go, taking a breath, letting it go. And on the way back, I'm really concentrating on my breathing because, especially after about the third or fourth sprint, is when concentrating on your breath really pays off because you're just so winded. And the regular Peak 8 protocol, or Sprint 8 protocol that Dr. Mercola and Dr. McGuff advocate, is 30 seconds of the high intensity of the all-out exercises, followed by 90 seconds of recovery. And as you can see here, I'm not being quite that strict. I'm probably, here goes my second sprint. I'm probably really only sprinting for maybe 15 seconds or so, maybe 20. 20 towards the end for sure, because my speed goes down quite a bit, and I'm probably recovering for about 2 minutes. I'll time it and put it down in the details of this video. But you don't have to be super strict, I don't think, because if you do your sprint so that by the end of the sprint you really can't go any further, you just can't go anymore, which is the whole idea, then I don't think that 30 seconds necessarily matters. It's kind of just a template or a framework for you to work in. And also probably if you're on a recumbent bike or on a stepper or a climber of some sort, or some sort of machine that is not utilizing your entire body quite as much as a sprint, or that's mostly like lower body, then it would make sense that you'd be able to do more work, that you'd be able to go a bit longer. So now I'm recovering from that sprint, and as I'm walking back, I'm breathing. I'm consciously trying to slow down my breathing because my breathing, it speeds up quite a bit, and I'm trying to slow it down for two reasons. One, so that I could catch my breath in time to do the next sprint, and also because I found that if I allow myself to hyperventilate too much or breathe too quickly, my side cramps up quite a bit more quickly. I probably do these about once a week. I really can't handle any more than that. I could probably could do it twice a week, but I think that might be overkill, especially since I'm doing some weight training in between. And immediately after I did this, I went home and I had a protein shake. It was just protein powder and water, and I use something called True Way, or that's what I'm using right now. I also really like Dr. Mercola's Miracle Way. Basically, if you can find it, any uh, whey protein concentrate, not isolate, that comes from grass-fed cows and doesn't have any sweeteners, except I think stevia is probably not so bad, but definitely stay away from like sucralose or agave nectar or anything like that, because those do some of them mess with your gut flora, and some of them have been shown to induce cancer in lab animals. Um, and agave syrup, I don't think that anybody uses agave syrup in whey protein powders, but I happen to know that that does produce a glycemic response, or it does spike blood sugar, which you want to stay away from. You really want to stay away from any kind of carbs after this protocol, and the reason is that this Sprint 8 protocol elicits a massive growth hormone response. That's sort of the whole purpose of this thing, is to elicit growth hormone secretion from your pituitary gland. And as soon as you put carbs into your body, as soon as you put sugar into your body, in about the 2-hour window after you do one of these workouts, you shut down the production of human growth hormone, and that is counterproductive to your efforts. And this is a really, really hard workout, especially towards the last few sprints. It's super hard and super tiring, and you definitely don't want to ruin your progress by consuming any kind of sugar afterwards. And I'll also have a link below to the kind of protein powder that I really like to use. It's fairly cheap, actually. If you can usually find it on Amazon, super cheap. Get like 2 for 1. I think I paid maybe $30 or something, really, really cheap like that. And now I'm just recovering, walking back. At this point, I'm pretty sure I forgot how many sprints I'd done, and so I just figured I'd go until I couldn't go any further. The last time that I did this, I did 5. That's all I could handle, and I did it quite early. I did it maybe at 2 p.m. or so, and it was really, really hot. It was a super sunny, hot day, probably 90 something degrees, and I just fatigued really, really quickly. So definitely, if you're going to do sprints, if you're by the beach, or if you're somewhere where it gets pretty hot, it's not a bad idea to wait until it cools down. Okay, so here I go. I think this is number 4. I think it's number 4. And at this point, I'm already pretty fatigued. And you'll know that you're getting tired when, after you do your sprint, you're sort of you're almost gasping for breath. You're just totally out of breath, which is where the deep breathing really comes in. You want to just breathe really deeply, and you want to slow down your exhalations a little bit. You're not going to be able to slow them down too much, but you want to breathe in, and then you sort of slow down your exhalations so that your overall breathing rate sort of drops a little bit, and you can normalize it a little bit. But really what you're doing is, with this Sprint 8 protocol, is you are creating a severe oxygen debt, because you're not giving your body the full amount of time it needs to recover. You're giving it a partial recovery, and then you're fatiguing it again on top of that initial fatigue, and you're doing that 8 times. So it really creates a deep fatigue, and you'll feel it. You'll sleep like a baby after doing one of these bad boys. That's for sure. And this is going to be one of the minimalistic protocols that I talk about in the 6-Pack Success ebook. And here I am trudging back. And this protocol isn't just good for your physique. It's incredible for your physique, because human growth hormone has a lot of body recomposition properties. But it's also extremely effective in preventing aging. This is like an anti-aging protocol. For the same reason, because of the human growth hormone secreted. And that's, I suppose if you had to do just one exercise a week, like if all you had was just half an hour, actually this only took 20 minutes. If you only have 20 minutes a week and you do one of these sprint 8 exercises, you will be it will accomplish a lot. It doesn't seem like much, 20 minutes a week, but it will accomplish a lot. Definitely give you a boost in your metabolism, make you stronger, increase your aerobic, or your anaerobic, and thus your aerobic capacity. And it feels great. You just feel amazing afterwards. And it'll also make you quite sore. Sprinting will just make you super, super sore. So immediately after this, I went home and got a whey protein shake, and then I came back to the beach and I swam around in the ocean a little bit. And I did that because some light activity helps clear lactic acid away from your muscles. So in other words, it aids recovery. It's something called active recovery. You definitely don't want to go and swim a mile afterwards, or jog a mile, but some light activity after this will actually help alleviate and dissipate some of that lactic acid and some of that soreness. And at this point, I'm hating life, as you can see by my posture there. And I think I have 2 sprints left before my camera overheats. I've never had that happen, but believe me, it was frustrating. I thought, God, I have to do this again next week. So I'm definitely going to have a better video of me doing sprint. I'll probably get somebody to videotape it for me, because when you're your own videographer, you can't really catch everything. As you can see, I'm cutting off the end of my sprint, so you can't really tell how far I've gone. Well, you can't really tell anyway because of the sort of perspective, but like I said, the distance isn't really a big deal, neither is the time. What is a big deal is that you complete the sprint to the point where you're just like, ugh, you're just like dying. You're just like, oh my God, you're gasping for air. And that's the whole idea. I didn't bring any water with me because typically if I drink in between running, I'll get cramps pretty bad. But I did hydrate pretty well before coming out here, and I felt pretty good. I was a little bit sleep deprived, and this perked me right up. You can kind of see in the background I have my hands behind my head. And the reason I'm doing that is that helps the rib cage expand so that you can take in more oxygen. Your first impulse is going to be to kind of fold over or double over and put your hands on your knees and breathe that way. And that does feel good. Like, that feels like you're alleviating some of the lack of breath. But if you put your hands behind your head, you'll actually be able to take in more oxygen. But it doesn't feel quite as relieving from an instant gratification standpoint. And oh yeah, I had these stupid golf carts and trucks kept driving by, and I think after I did maybe my 6th or 7th sprint, one of these golf carts drove by, and it was like a huge cloud of nasty exhaust. Yeah, see, I'm waving my hand there for the exhaust. Gasping for breath, and then you get a big exhaust in your face. So I think this is my last sprint that got caught on tape before my camera died or overheated. So this is the 7th one coming up, and I'm very tired at this point, and my sprints are lacking power at this point. But it's important, even even though I'm going quite slowly compared to the first few sprints, it's still important to do that sprint as hard as you can, even though it's not going to be as hard as the first two or three. And again, this is sort of a more advanced protocol. I would not suggest this to somebody who is not in decent shape yet. And you might have to work your way up to 8, because this is hard. This is hard. I was only able to do 5 when I started, and today I did 8 barely. And I work out pretty regularly, so you're just kind of getting into exercising, or you're just getting back into exercising. You definitely don't want to start off with this protocol, but a few sprints won't kill you. But back to back like this, you'll wish you'll hate life. So now I think I'm walking back for the 8th sprint, right before my camera dies. And it's kind of ironic to see all these people jogging. There's nothing wrong with jogging, but you definitely get more benefit from doing a few sprints that take 20 minutes, than you'd get from an hour or even a 2-hour long jog, because you have to fatigue yourself maximally. You really have to fatigue yourself to secrete growth hormone on that level. So yeah, this is about where my camera dies, and I hope you liked my sprint 8.